The president himself was asked about Cuomo today several times. Probably pretty hard, pretty awkward. Biden himself has been credibly accused of not only just weird touching, but full-blown sexual assault by a woman named Tara Reid. Cuomo is following the Joe Biden playbook on this. Listen to Biden back in 2019.
I want to talk about gestures of support and encouragement that I've made to women and some men that have made them uncomfortable. And I always tried to be, in my career, I've always tried to make a human connection. That's my responsibility, I think. I shake hands, I hug people, I grab men and women by the shoulders and say, you can do this. And whether they're women, men, young, old, it's the way I've always been. It's the way I've tried to show I care about them and I'm listening.
So you have that, and here's Cuomo today.
I do kiss people on the forehead. I do kiss people on the cheek. I do kiss people on the hand. I do embrace people. I do hug people, men and women.
So just like Biden only responded to the lesser allegations, Cuomo does as well, telling story after story of just touching people's faces and necks, avoiding responding to the allegations that were laid out by a Democrat attorney general, saying that he was grabbing private parts and doing a whole lot more. Joining me now is New York gubernatorial candidate Andrew Giuliani. Good to see you, Andrew.
Rob, good to see you too. You know, it's absolutely disturbing. Andrew Cuomo, one of the things he said in his press conference is that he's Italian. Well, guess what? I can tell you I'm Italian, and you know ultimately what is right and what is wrong. The fact that he would use his Italian heritage and the fact that we like to hug our family to excuse his inappropriate behavior is disgusting. As an Italian, I'm offended.
Yeah, he says he's just an affectionate guy. You know, that's how he's going to try and brush this off, and he's going to hope that people ignore a lot of the accusations. But here's more from the AG.
The governor also engaged in a widespread pattern of subjecting women to unwanted hugs and kisses and touching them in ways that made them uncomfortable. Conduct that is not just old-fashioned, affectionate behavior, as he and some of his staff members would have it, but unlawful sex-based harassment.
Unlawful sex-based harassment. They say unlawful, but they're not bringing charges. Why do you think that is?
Well, look, as you outlined before in your monologue there, Rob, I mean, we're talking about a guy who has all of these different issues that are coming up right now all at the same time. Yeah. When it comes to the $5.1 billion book deal, when we're talking about the 9,000 deaths, when they're talking about hiding the data from all this. But the truth is, when we talk specifically about what he's done, what his conduct is, this has been just a pattern of Andrew Cuomo thinking that he is above the rest. If we would take his statements on Brett Kavanaugh, on Al Franken, on Schneiderman, he called on them to resign immediately. So if you had Andrew Cuomo listen to Andrew Cuomo right now, he would be resigning. But that's the hypocrisy that you've outlined so eloquently in your monologue here. The truth is, it's long past time that Andrew Cuomo, if he does not resign, which I don't expect him to, the assembly needs to start impeaching, and they need to come back to Albany and start impeaching this week. They need to come there, do their job, and impeach Andrew Cuomo.
It does seem like it's going to happen quick. We're getting indications that they probably want to just get this done and get it over with because they don't want it to be talked about forever and ever. It's just bad press. In the meantime, and you hinted at it just a second ago, as everybody obsesses over this, his most serious crime, hands down, potential crime, the nursing home deaths. You know, Cuomo put COVID-positive nursing home patients back into nursing homes at a time when everybody knew these were the most vulnerable people. He made this ridiculous mistake, and we don't exactly know why. We've heard indications that maybe it was some kind of lobbying gone wrong. I have no idea, and we're going to learn more about that, hopefully, from an investigation. But that killed thousands of people. And then his administration lies about the numbers. And that is still under investigation, right?
That's exactly right. It's still on, well, here's the thing. The Biden DOJ said federally that they did not want to continue to investigate it. On a state level, it is still under investigation right now. But I understand why the Biden DOJ would not want to investigate it. Sure. It's because it wouldn't just be Andrew Cuomo who would be going down with the ship. You talk also about Gretchen Whitmer, who has that issue. Talk about Murphy in New Jersey. Also, Newsom in California. I mean, this is their Democratic stars. As you mentioned before, these are people who would be seeking the White House the way that Andrew Cuomo was seeking the White House just 12 months ago. And now, ultimately, he cannot keep his hands to himself. But you're absolutely right. We cannot forget what I think is the most egregious crime that Andrew Cuomo committed, which is he let his ego get in the way of public policy. At the same time that you had the USS Comfort coming up the Hudson River, he did not want to give Donald Trump the political win, and that's why he signed that executive order to send all of those sick patients in with those healthy patients. The blood of at least 9,000 of the 15,000 New York seniors who died in nursing homes is on Andrew Cuomo's hands.
Well, you're trying to take his job. You're running for governor. He's up next year, and it's going to be a very interesting process. How's the campaign going? What do the numbers look like for you?
It's going well. So our first statewide poll, we're up 8 points statewide for the nomination here. I look forward to seeing our matchup against Andrew Cuomo directly here. Look, our primary is June of next year, so we still have about 10 and a half months to go before then. Right now, we're up in Syracuse. We were at Empire Farm Days today when this all broke it out. But that's our strategy. We are going to continue to push the grassroots and meet as many of the 19.5 million New Yorkers as possible. And the one thing Andrew Cuomo is very proud of, he's very, very good at insulating himself. I want to be the exact opposite kind of candidate. I want to be on the ground talking to New Yorkers, because the truth is they haven't had a governor that's actually come to them and engage with them. Our governor likes to touch them. He does not like to engage with them. I look forward to engaging with New Yorkers, not touching
them. Fair enough. We'll see if it's Cuomo that you're running against when this all comes out. It's good to see you. Andrew Giuliani running for governor in November of 2022. Sir, thanks for the time.
Rob, always great to be with you. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.